Hello everybody, welcome to the anatomy of the male reproductive system. This is going to be treated as just a basic intro. There's going to be a lot more to deal with after this. But without further ado, let's just get right in. Alright, so we have a mid-sagittal cut down the male reproductive tract right here, and we can tell because you can see the pubic symphysis right here. And that is directly mid-sagittal between the two pelvic bones. Now, superiorly to inferiorly, we have the ureter here that comes from the excretory portion of the kidney and empties into the urinary bladder. And then that goes out normally through the ureter or urethra. And we have our seminal vesicle here, which receives immature semen from the ductus deferens that travels from the epididymis, and it goes through into the prostate gland, and then through the bulbourethral gland. Then we have our ejaculatory duct because it comes from the ductus deferens tract here. Then we have our bulbourethral gland where the pelvic floor muscles are. Then I included this one. This is the prostatic urethra. We call that prostatic urethra because it runs through the prostate gland. Then we have our epididymis, obviously, and then our testis, and then our scrotum. Then we have our penile urethra here because it runs through the penis. Then we have our prepuce, or the foreskin, and this guy is uncircumcised because you can see the prepuce folds over the glans penis. And then a urethral opening is unlisted, but it's right here. And that's just because, well, it opens. So we have our penis here, and then we have our pelvic floor muscles right here that control the flow of urine. And then the vas, or ductus deferens. And that's it for this basic anatomy. Now let's get even more specific here. We have our two pelvic bones right here, and you can see the pubic symphysis. Alright, so first let's go over the erectile tissue. So it's a sinusoidal tissue, so it's got a lot of little spaces blood fills in, much like your spleen or something like that. So we have first our most abundant erectile tissue. We have the corpus cavernosa, or the corpora cavernosa, because there's two of them. And then they make up the shaft of the penis, most of the shaft, but also the corpus spongiosum, this one little thing right here, makes up the shaft of the penis, or the body of the penis. And the body of the penis has the most erectile tissue, and that's what it extends outward from the pubic bone. Now, corpus cavernosum makes up the shaft and the root of the penis, which is called the crura. We have two crura, or two crus here, and then the crura is plural, and they kind of extend into the glans, but the glans is actually corpus spongiosum, and then the erectile tissue that surrounds the urethra is corpus spongiosum as well. Slightly different composition, but largely the same. And then the root of the corpus spongiosum is just called the bulb, and that attaches to the perineal membrane, and that makes up the penis. And the opening of the urethra here. Okay, now the testes. We have the inguinal canal that runs kind of laterally from the inguinal region here, and then it has a spermatic cord hanging down from the male testes, and that holds in place the testicles. And then we have the cremasteric muscle, which is the cremaster muscle, that also holds the testicles, but also we call it in anatomy, we call it elevation and depression of the testicles, and make sure that it's not an optimal temperature, which is between 4 and 7 degrees Celsius below the body temperature. Otherwise, all these sperm cells would be dying because the proteins that they need would be denatured at body temperature. All the proteins and the enzymes that function in them. So, yeah, there's that. Now we have a transverse cut of the penis. This is a very simple view. We rarely have to know the arteries and veins, but we have the superficial dorsal, and then this must be deep because it's deep to the superficial. And these two must be the dorsal arteries, and then these must be the dorsal nerves. Then we have the deep arteries here, and then the urethra. So we can use deductive reasoning and think that the corpora cavernosa fill up with blood, and the sinusoids that are within the erectile tissue fill up with blood, and the penis becomes erect due to that. Then we have our corpus spongiosum here because it surrounds the urethra. And that's pretty much all we need to know for this part. So our sagittal cut of the testicle here, you can tell it's sagittal because you can kind of see everything within the testicle. Basic anatomy, we just have the tunica albuginea, which is this white membrane that surrounds the testicle. We have one of our lobules here where we have like a little area of coiled, seminiferous tubules. And then they kind of come out at the head of the epididymis right here, and we call these efferent ductules. It's still convoluted here, and then it kind of travels down, the sperm travels down to the body here, and it becomes unconvoluted, and even more unconvoluted at the tail of the epididymis until it becomes a ductus deferens, unconvoluted, and then it flows up and then through the seminiferous gland. Now we have a transverse cut of the seminiferous tubule, so if you were to pull one out of the testicle, or the testis, and we did a transverse section of it, we only look at this lobule part of that. Well, we can see immature sperm cells at the top, and we call it the spermatogonium, where the immature sperm cells lie. So superficially to deep, we have a gradient of immature to mature sperm cells. And then we can use deductive reasoning and think, well, hey, we have the lumen right here, so the sperm detached from the lumen and kind of travel down the tubule until it reaches the efferent ductules. And then it comes out through the semen tract, seminiferous tract, if you will, and then out the penis. So we have mitotic divisions here. We first say the primordial germ cell, and then all the divisions here is indistinguishable from any other somatic cell. So I have first mitotic division, you create two of them. Then once we have the primary spermatocyte, then we start to see, well, that's a spermatocyte. Then we have our first meiotic division, meiosis, and then we have our second meiotic division. Remember, meiosis was 2 because you need to split them into haploid cells. So we end up from 1 to 4 haploid gametes. And you can see as we go down, we kind of have maturation of the sperm cells, and they kind of look like sperm. Now, we have Sertoli cells here, which kind of provide nutrients to the sperm. And it also releases a hormone called inhibin to inhibit the release of another hormone we'll be talking about in the physiology section. And then in between here, I think they might be this, but probably not. In between the seminiferous tubules, we have Leydig cells, and they release testosterone, but we'll talk about that later as well. But you can kind of see how the sperm matures as we go more deep from the superficial tissue, and then we go out of the duct. Alright, so now we'll talk about bulboid corpuscles, or genital end bulbs, as they're more commonly called. Now we have a lot of these in the genital or inguinal region, and they are thought to stimulate erection in the penis and then the vagina as well. That's a lot of them in the clitoris and then the skin. So you can guys see the nerve fiber attached here, then we have a corpuscle shape. But you'll probably only likely remember them as genital end bulbs. And then last we have the spermatozoa here. We'll just do the basic anatomy, you don't have to know anything else. So we have the head of the sperm here, and then we have the acrosome, which covers it. Then we have the mid connecting piece, and if you look close, you can see the mitochondria. Now this is going to be a sagittal cut, so they're actually helically arranged. So we have a lot of them in the mid piece because sperm needs a lot of energy to kind of move the tail and be motile. Then we have this tail piece right here, and then we have the end piece. That's pretty much it. I appreciate you guys coming over. And there's actually one more thing you should probably remember, that the glans penis right here has a lot of nerve endings in them. So rich in nerve endings and nerve fibers. Alright, I will see you in the physiology section, and I thank you guys for joining. Goodbye.